A first November rain fell in Lufunda one restless night, splattering against rusty roofs and crumbling walls. Under that gentle thunder, the house of Mama Sifa stirred with familiar longing and unspoken worries. Mama Sifa's home was a simple arrangement: uneven mud floors, old sofas with patched arms, and shelves lined with second-hand school books. Every night before sleep, she massaged her old knees and whispered prayers for her two children, Tina and Amos. Tina, her oldest, was 17 and already tired of Lufunda's endless promises and silent debts. Amos, 12, quiet but watchful, spent his evenings drawing shapes in the dust, his pencil always whittled down to a stub. Subscribe and hit like. Our powerful stories add years to your life. Join our Story Lovers Club and let us know in the comments, where are you listening from? One Friday morning, as Tina washed dishes in the yard, she spied her neighbor, Mr. Ditumba, striding by with a briefcase, a rare sight in these parts. He nodded curtly, eyes scanning the boundary stones between their plots. Tina's mother soon joined her, limping slightly. "Sifa," called Fatu, their next-door neighbor, waving a rolled-up newspaper. "Did you see? Another price hike. See what they do to us, eh?" She cackled, but Tina saw the worry lines etching deeper above Mama Sifa's lips. "Your exams come soon, my flower," Mama Sifa said to Tina, coaxing a smile. "Do your best. Maybe one day you won't need to fetch water with your own hands." Tina shrugged, feeling every day spent here pressed down on her like a hand on her back. School, chores, long walks to fetch water. The ceaseless balancing of coins for food and school fees. That afternoon, an official-looking envelope arrived, addressed to the family of Sifa and Kawe. Tina ran inside, heart quickening. Maybe it was the bursary letter she'd dreamed of. But as Mama Sifa's eyes scanned the page, her shoulders slumped. "What is it, Mama?" Tina pressed. Mama Sifa's thumb trembled. "We have 2 weeks. They want us out." A new developer wanted Mama Sifa's corner lot and a handful of others. Legally, they still held rights, but in Lufunda, such technicalities washed away with the rain. The news settled in the house like mold, silent, spreading, souring everything. The eviction notice became the stone in everyone's shoe. Mama Sifa forbade Tina from telling even Fatu. But news in Lufunda walked on the air. Whispers followed Tina through the market, disguised as neighborly concern, each query meant to fish for secrets. That Sunday, the family filed into church, as always. The choir's voices rose, and Amos, perched on the edge of the bench, sketched in his battered exercise book. A soft hand landed on his shoulder. "What do you draw, boy?" the pastor's wife inquired, peering at sketches of rooftops, water cans, faces half erased by eraser marks. Outside, Tina found herself face to face with Mr. Ditumba, now leaning on his walking stick. "You are Sifa's daughter," he remarked, neither friendly nor unkind. "You go to the secondary school." She nodded. "Your mother is a good woman. Did you know my father owned these lands long ago, before the border stones moved?" His voice was layered, heavy. That evening, Fatu brought over ripe mangoes and stories about land disputes in years past. "When my uncle lost his plot, he didn't fight. He left and he never wrote." "Don't do that, Sifa." She pressed Sifa's hand. There are ways. There are people who remember debts, even old ones. In the calm before sleep, Tina combed through her room, unease prickling at her skin. She counted coins, then opened her school bag to bury herself in mathematics. There, she found a small, wax-sealed parcel that Amos had somehow procured. "It's for you," Amos muttered. "I found it behind Papa's old chest. It's got your name." Inside were old letters from a woman named Miriam. Her handwriting flowed in French, threaded with longing. Tina's heart thudded. But our father's name was Kamba. The next week at school, the principal asked Tina to help with the science club after class. There, she met a new club sponsor, a man dressed too well for Lufunda, with a clipped accent and a sharp gaze. "I am Mr. Mukendi," he said. "I am looking for talent. We have scholarships for those who shine brighter than circumstance. Show me what you can do." Tina burned with hope and wariness, her mind juggling equations and eviction. That night, Mama Sifa pressed the letters to her heart, tears slipping free as she stroked Tina's hair. "There are things I should have told you, my daughter, but the past is full of thorns." The days thinned out, emptying toward the 2-week deadline. In the market, rumors thickened. The new developer, backed by foreign investors, was sweeping through the neighborhood at speed. Some families had already packed, their doors standing wide to show nothing left to take. Inside Mama Sifa's house, Tina grew wilder with anxiety and resolve. She studied late, hard as stone, while Amos quietly drew blueprints of their house, as if redrawing it could hold it together. Mama Sifa grew pensive, her eyes trailing the horizon at dusk, remembering something or someone. One night, Tina found Mama Sifa at the kitchen table. Letters and official identifications spread before her. In the candle's inching glow, Sifa reached for a photo. "That is not your father," she whispered, as Tina stared at the faded image. A young woman, radiant in graduation robes, holding hands with a tall man whose eyes looked achingly familiar. "That was Miriam, and the man is your real father. His name was Patrice Ditumba. He left on his journey before you were born, vanished like so many others during those years." Tina's chest drew tight. "Why did you never tell me?" It felt safer to let the past sleep. But now, when the wind changes, it brings old things with it. The next day, in science club, Mr. Mukendi paused over Tina's project, a hand-built electrical generator cobbled from bottle caps and wire. "You do all this without equipment?" She nodded, humility masking the pride that sparkled in her eyes. "The scholarship panel will visit next week. I will see you in the final round. This could take you far, Miss Sifa, if you are brave." Meanwhile, Mr. Ditumba, now more frequently glimpsed on the margins of the market, watched the Sifa home from afar. He inquired with discreet neighbors, asking cautious questions about the family, ignoring the old boundary feud everyone still remembered. Only Amos noticed Mr. Ditumba's oddly gentle gaze, fixed on Tina and Mama Sifa, especially when they thought no one looked. One evening, after fetching water, Amos found a man rooting through their rubbish pile. The man's hands shook, his eyes shifting. He muttered, "This is just a mistake." When Amos shouted, the man bolted, leaving behind a glinting, expensive lighter. The initials stood out. MM. Trouble, Amos realized, now had a name. Scholarship Day dawned as the sky pressed low, heavy clouds threatening a deluge. Mama Sifa kissed Tina's forehead. "Do not be afraid to shine," she whispered. Tina put on her freshly washed blouse, patched at the elbow, and went out into the moody light, Amos trailing behind her with a notebook under his arm. In the school hall, stern men and women lounged in plastic chairs. The scholarship committee, dressed in city fashion, murmuring about potential and impact. Mr. Mukendi smiled at Tina, but his eyes darted uneasily to his phone as he greeted each candidate. Tina watched the others, children in better shoes, students from families who could afford tutors and internet access. When her turn came, she unfurled her jumble of wire and metal. A small, working generator, wound by hand, powering a radio she'd scavenged from the dump. Her voice was steady, but her gaze flickered toward Mr. Mukendi's phone, wondering at his distraction. When the machine hummed to life, a rare silence drew around her. The judges finally looked up. One, an elderly woman, smiled at Amos's sketches of the circuit, quietly passed from sibling to sibling. After, as rain began, Mr. Ditumba approached. He stood at the edge of the schoolyard, cane in hand. "You are Sifa's daughter for sure," he said. Miriam would have taken pride. It was never about land, Tina. It was about a promise her father broke to mine. "We must talk, your mother and I." That night, as the storm lashed windows, someone hammered at the door. Amos jumped, but it was Fatu, her eyes wide with warning. "Someone is coming with police. They say the developer's man offered money to hurry families out. Tonight, before morning." Mama Sifa shuddered. Tina, furious, dashed into her bag for the scholarship papers she had just received. She froze. The notice was gone, and in its place was a single sheet, a forged statement of voluntary departure, marked with a crude signature, her mother's name. Panic choked her breath. "We have to fight this. Mama, you did not sign anything, did you?" But Sifa only wept. She, too, had been startled by a strange man that afternoon, who had pressed a clipboard into her hand and asked for just a signature for the scholarship. Now her signature, clumsy and uncertain, was being used against her. Thunder cracked close overhead. In the silence that followed, Amos spoke for the first time that evening. "I know who did it. The lighter, the one with MM." Tina looked at him, realization dawning with the storm. The thunderstorm raged as Tina, Amos, Mama Sifa, and Fatu huddled in the single-room house. Rain hammered the rusted tin roof, drowning out the ordinary noises of Lufunda. Outside, shouts echoed farther down the lane, then heavy knocks and flashes of torchlight. The eviction had begun. Just as Fatu warned, Tina's mind raced. "Mama, is there another copy of the signed paper?" Mama shook her head. "He took it after I signed. I thought it was for your school, Tina." "I did not see." Fatu gripped Sifa's hand. "We are not leaving tonight. If they want us out, they must do it in daylight, with everyone watching. I am calling the chief." She darted into the rain. Suddenly, Mr. Ditumba limped in through the unlocked door, water streaming from his coat. The children stared. He bowed to Sifa and quietly handed her an old, folded map and a faded deed, stamped and signed. "Your uncle gifted this land to my father." "Yes," he said, his voice barely above the storm. "But when Patrice left, he sent this back to Miriam. It belongs to her daughter now, Tina." Mama Sifa's eyes widened. "You have proof?" He nodded. "I buried my anger." "This is justice, not property." Amos, clutching the lighter, suddenly spoke. "The man in the dark, his lighter has the same mark as that Mukendi man at school." Quick footsteps outside. Mr. Mukendi entered, panting, his business suit soaked. "You must leave, now. The developer cares for nothing but speed." Then, seeing the old deed Ditumba had brought, his face fell. His voice cracked. "This will hold them off. If Sifa files this tonight, they cannot move you." Confused, Tina demanded, "Why did you send that man to forge my mother's signature?" Mukendi's jaw shook. "That was not me." "The developer's men have copies of my things, lighters, badges, even my name for bribes. They tried to buy me too. I said no, so now they try tricks." As he spoke, police arrived outside, a two waving a cell phone by their car, the chief beside her. The chief looked at the trembling family. Sifa raised the deed, voice strong for the first time in days. "We are not leaving. This land is ours." The policeman, uncertain, stood aside. Fatou hugged Tina, grinning through tears. "I said justice still lived in Lufunda." Ditumba, tired, closed his eyes in relief. The rain eased before dawn. By morning, word of the standoff had spread. Neighbors gathered, supportive. Mr. Mukendi, no longer afraid, offered to help file the paperwork. "Tina," he added, smiling, "your generator impressed the panel. You have the scholarship, if you still want it." Tina wept openly, with hope, exhaustion, and the relief of surviving the storm together. A week passed. The market jingled with laughter and arguments again. The developers' bulldozers skipped Sifa's lane. As neighbors rallied and reporters snapped photos of the standoff house. Mama Sifa held her head higher. Amos added new rooms to his sketches, and Fatou led a group of women to the council, demanding protection for all families. Tina prepared to leave for the city's best science school. Her scholarship letter folded alongside the deed that saved her home. On her final morning, Ditumba arrived in his neat jacket, pressing a book into her hands, old electrical diagrams, annotated in Patrice's handwriting. "He wanted you to have it." Ditumba smiled, tears in his eyes. "Now you go further than any of us dreamed." Tina hugged Mama Sifa, Amos, Fatou, even Mr. Mukendi, whose trust she had learned. She walked away into the fresh morning, shoes still patched, but future bright. When she turned back, she saw her family waving. The home still stood, sturdy and whole. As the sun warmed Lufunda after the storm, Tina's story joined 1,000 others of courage, kinship, and voices refusing silence.